Hello and welcome to VCT 2025 preseason, or everything you need to know about VCT and Valorant if you've been living under a rock since the end of VCT 2024. In fact, let's flash back to VCT 2024 to where Edward Gaiman just won Champions Soul, a moment that frankly you cannot remember because you stopped caring and watching 2 days ago when Sentinels lost in lower brackets and left the tournament. Anyways, EDG just won Champions Soul, Boostio was wrong, and all is right in the world. But something's wrong. Valorant feels off to you, almost stale, and you can't put your finger on why. I mean, you're still up to date with things. You watched the Spotify Rebellions went perfect in VCT Game Changers, and you watched the teams ascend in VCT Ascensions. So, what is wrong? Why do I still not feel the same? There's almost like a hole that was once filled that now isn't. And as you ponder this and reflect on this, you slowly descend into madness. Is there something wrong with me? Am I depressed? Am I lonely? Am I fulfilled in life? Should I call my parents? Am I unhappy in life? Why am I so unhappy in my life? I just don't know. It doesn't make sense. Oh, hey, VCT 2025. Let's look at that. First change to talk about is the schedule. Before, the season was February to August, with everything pretty much taking place back to back every single month. Now in 2025, it's a lot more spread out. The season goes from January to October, extending 3 months, giving more time for breaks in between stages and events, and giving more reasons for me to not actually go into work anymore. Tournament locations have been revealed, with Masters being in Bangkok and Toronto, and Champions being in Paris. Why these locations? I don't know, I'm not Riot. All I know is that you have a pretty good chance of being selected as a location if you have a pointy building in your country. Next thing to talk about is the stage breakdown, a breakdown of all the stages. First, we're going to talk about kickoff. Now, kickoff before used to be kind of messy. It used to be a 3 double elimination bracket, followed by a 3-team round robin group, followed by a 4-team single elimination bracket. It just used to be a lot and kind of hard to follow. Now it's a straight up a double elimination bracket, with all the 12 teams competing, with last year's ranking being the seed placement, and the top 4 teams getting the first round buys. From there, the top 2 kickoff teams now advance over to Masters Bangkok. Masters is going to have a very similar format as to last time, an 8-team Swiss stage, followed by a 4-team double elimination bracket. Following that is stage 1. Now stage 1 also very similar to last year, only exception is playoffs. Playoffs is a lot different this time. Instead of a full single round robin of all 11 teams, it's going to be 2 round robin groups of 6 teams, since there's now the additional 12th team, with the top 4 teams of each round robin advancing, meaning that 8 teams now qualify instead of 6 teams as before. These 8 teams now fight in a 4-team double elimination bracket, with the top 2 teams from each group receiving first round buys, and the bottom 2 teams starting in lower bracket immediately. The top 3 stage 1 teams advance to Masters Toronto. Again, very similar to last time, 8-team Swiss stage with top team regions bypassing Swiss altogether, and an 8-team double elimination bracket. Stage 2 very similar to last time, with playoffs being this new format, the only difference being that the top 2 stage 2 teams and the top 2 teams of the most championship points advance to champions. Before, it was just the top 3 stage 2 teams and the top team with the most championship points. From there, champions is going to be very similar to last time, with 4-team group stage and an 8-team double elimination bracket. Speaking of championship points, they look a lot different now. Before, in 2024, points were earned by winners, frankly. Winners of any stage, winners of any matches. Each winner would earn points. And this kind of didn't make sense, because if you ended up winning a tournament and getting those 3 points, and then losing 3 of your matches, you automatically just lose that progress you made. And so it kind of made it that almost everybody's kind of still in it, and it wasn't really as rewarding as it really felt like. Now in 2025, a lot more points are allotted. Points are now earned by the top 4 of any stage, and of course match victories are the same, 1 point. Now there's more opportunities to get points, there's a lot more build up, it's a lot more rewarding, and there's a lot more wait for the build up to champions and getting all of these points and as many points as possible. Is it any better? We'll have to see. I think it will be, but stay tuned. Last change to the format is teams that ascended from VCL Valorant Challengers into VCT Champions Tour, specifically in regards to regulation. Each year, both of the ascended teams will now be at risk of regulation, with stipulations being if you miss playoffs, you're automatically regulated down to challengers. Those that ascend take over your spot. If you end up in the top 8, you're going to have to compete at Ascension to retain your VCT status. If you end up in top 4 though and qualify for champions, you automatically qualify and retain your status in VCT for next year. Now, speaking of Ascension, we have some new teams that have joined VCT. Wait, hold on, this doesn't look right. That's better. Each team has now received a new ascended team. Apex for EMEA, XLG Esports for China, 2Game Esports for Americas, and Notchim Red Force in Pacific. Now, you're probably wondering, why are there 5 teams here when only 4 of them ascended? Well, that's because Bleed Esports was removed by Riot Games due to their failure to comply with critical reporting requirements and other key obligations. Guess you could say Bleed Esports bled themselves dry. No, it was likely due to poor financial decisions and not paying and communicating and caring properly about their players that caused all of this. So, because of that, 2 teams ended up ascending from VCT Pacific, Notchim Red Force, and Boom Esports. So, that's that. Speaking of teams and players, we have new roster changes. A ton of new changes were made by organizations in the offseason in regards to their players, coaches, and overall management. Now, at first I thought it wouldn't be that many. You know, it would be pretty easy to track. First, to start with the players that aren't in the scene anymore, that were dropped from each team. And admittedly, there was a fair bit of changes there. You know, EMEA and Pacific had a lot, and some particular teams as well. You know, MIBR, Gentlemates. But, you know, nothing that couldn't be handled. And of course, you know, now you had to look at what the acquisitions for teams were. You know, you can't drop a player without picking up a few new ones, right? You know, so, you know, there's more changes there. You know, getting a little bit hard to track, but nothing too crazy. And then you get to the transfers and everything kind of goes off the rails here. You know, it becomes a lot more confusing to figure out what the heck is going on, and it becomes hard to manage. And then as you're going through it, you realize you've just spent 2 hours on this graphic, and then you're just concerned that, you know, if you're doing it right, if all the information is correct. And then you start getting distracted and start doodling on it because you have no idea what's going on, and then you're panicking about everything. Suffice to say, there was a lot of roster changes, so much so that it may even merit its own video. We'll see about that. Anyways, these are all of the updated teams encapsulated in one slide. Speaking of capsules, capsules are back this year for VCT. Similar to last year, the collection includes upgraded classic skins, now featuring an achievement tracker upon their inspections and a winner's flare. In addition to that, there's the 2025 player card, as well as the original 2024 spray and gun buddy, though if you already own it, you just get a discount on the whole entire bundle instead. Later in the season, there will also be a season capsule, which will feature a new melee skin inspired by the lock-in collection. More on that later. But speaking of skins, there were a total of 8 new skin bundles that dropped since the end of last season. Some of these being brand new collections, new collaborations with other Riot IPs like Arcane Season 2. Others were expansions of other collections like the Araxes and the Singularity. And some were just cats. Purely cats. No guns involved, just cats. I frankly think this one was the most popular, oddly enough. From there, we talk about the new agents. We have 2 new agents to talk about. Vice from patch 9.4 and Teju. I don't know the right pronunciation there. What's right? Tejo from patch 10. We're going to talk about Vice first. She is a sentinel and has the ability Razor Vine, which is a hidden wall tripwire trap that activates behind the first enemy that crosses it. Shear, which is an AoE pit or circle that slows and damages enemies moving through it. Archrose, which is a placeable and toggleable blind. And Steel Garden, which is an AoE that forces enemies to use their secondary weapon. Tejo, on the other hand, is an initiator that has Stealth Drone, which is a little robot guy that you can Patrol to reveal suppress enemies, kind of like Gecko's Thrash or Sova's Drone. Special Delivery, which is concussive explosion that bounces, kind of like Sova's Shock Dart. Guided Salvo, which is basically AoE Molotov you can send over on a minimap interface like the smokes. And then Armageddon, which is basically a move and airstrike. Now comes the patches. Obviously there's a lot to talk about with each patch, so much so that frankly would have gotten boring if I were to go through everything there. So I decided to break it all down and deliver it to you in a haiku format. Vi's here, uncapped fuel, 2 premier timeouts anytime. Agent and map fixes.
Patch 9.4.
Amazing, that's
Oh wow, really cool.
Ooh, I like that. More Astra star count. Bug fixes, chamber TP bigger. Stim buff, Ares headshots.
Patch 9.5.
Oh, thank God, finally. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
AFK's votes gone. Agent walls affect windows. Skin names in game. Fixes.
Patch 9.6.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Sage barrier fix. Audio tweaks. Milestone changes. Agent and map fixes.
Patch 9.7.
Ooh,
Oh, wow.
Look at that, that's pretty cool.
Gecko nerf glitch here. Euro clone Skyjet busts. Bug fixes. Reticles.
Patch 9.8.
That's changing, that's a game changer.
Yeah, I see how that was annoying
That's a
now.
game changer.
Instalock fix. Coaches see. Agent and map fixes are here. That is about it.
Patch 9.9.
Game
Oh,
changer,
so
that's
they
a game
did the-
changer
and
right
they-
there. Oh.
Regen shield slows slow. Inaccurate guns. Phantom. Agent changes. Bug fixes.
Patch 9.10.
Wow. I don't like these changes. That's a bad patch.
Neon nerf. Vise adjusted. New pin system on minimap. Client and mode updates.
Patch 9.11.
Patch change it.
New season. Tejo. Explosions. Esports. Fixes. Flex. General updates.
Patch 10.
Yay!
And that's about it. Kickoff is officially off to a start. And yeah, enjoy Valorant.